My friends, the great experiment.
Prodigy.
Prodigy. Hidden. Trick.
Would you look at that?
The greatest trick.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
The greatest trick.
Welcome to Greatest Trek. It's a new Star Trek podcast from the makers of The Greatest Generation. I'm Adam Pranica.
I'm Ben Harrison. Oh, buddy.
How am I the sick one on the show?
I don't
That's
know.
your job.
It's usually my prerogative. It's usually something that I take great pride in, being perpetually under the weather.
Now I know how the other half lives.
Yeah.
I've got fallen samurai hair on the stream. That's how you know I'm struggling.
Yeah. Look like Odo after a tussle with another goo.
I went into the freezer, pulled out a bunch of candle stumps, dug down into the emergency therapeutic broth that I keep there. Been drinking the broth all day for several days now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is that what you've got in the coffee cup?
Sure do. It's going to be too hot. It's going to burn my mouth. It's going to broke the mouth, Ben.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's hot. But it's good.
Broke back mouth tin?
That's it. I wish I could quit this broth, but I can't. There's too much of it.
Because you jacked it, I'm like this.
The broth's dick is too good.
How are you feeling? Don't make this all about me.
Mm-hmm.
It could be about us.
Well,
Are you feeling away too?
I'm thinking about a maybe threadbare observation about Star Trek that growing the beard, often a turning point for a series or a character. And Chakotay grows the beard in this. Could we be on the verge of a whole new era of Star Trek Prodigy as of today?
I mean, when Riker grew the beard, he became the sexual icon that we know and love.
How is Admiral Forrest doing it sans beard?
I mean, that's just the power of Admiral Forrest, isn't it?
I suppose that's true.
Do you think Holo Janeway also grew her hair out?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, like the calzone does
He's
look...
fucking that Holo, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just be clear.
Yeah, computer alter training program to the following specifications.
He would be a lot more fucked up after 10 years if he hadn't been, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not like Steve Zahn in the silo. He's perfectly coherent and isn't deeply unsure of what's going on or why. He's just grumpy, you know? He's in a grumpy mood.
How many months or years do you think it takes after being marooned for you to fuck one of those fishes?
You didn't go up there to fish.
In high school, we had a graduation requirement of my high school was a very intense 30-day backpacking trip.
Is this going to be a story about how you got your fish fucker badge?
Kind of Outward Bound style, if anybody's familiar with that. And one of the elements of this is the solo experience, where you are given kind of the bare minimum number of calories you will need to sustain yourself for 3 days, and you are given an area in the woods to. This is where you can be. You can't go anywhere aside from this. And
do y'all do this at the same time?
Yeah. Like
so. Do you try to find each other or not?
There may have been rule breakers among us. I wouldn't know.
No one's trying to find you, though, right?
Yeah.
And you're not trying to find anyone else.
I'm not. I did break the rules insofar as I knew that I was at the end of the line because there was like, I don't know, 8 or 10 of us in the group, and they spaced us out along a creek, and I knew that I was the last person to get my spot. So I would just go on little day hikes up the hill.
Were you up or downstream on that creek?
I was uphill. It was amazing. It was exactly what you want.
He had the cleanest water.
Yeah.
Were you sending stuff downstream, Ben?
Nothing that anybody wouldn't want, you know. Yeah, I'll put a little message in a bottle or whatever, but...
That's a way of putting it.
I would say going into the woods and being by myself for 3 days was about as much of that as I could take.
No one's stream was cloudy during that trip, right?
No, come on. I wasn't feeding the baby.
3 days.
Yeah.
That's the limit.
Yeah, and then they come find you. And it's 3 days where there's some communication where you like put a little note about how you're doing on a rock, and your instructors come along and get it when you're not there.
Isn't 3 days coincidentally the time limit of survival without drinking water? Isn't that when it ends for most folks?
Oh, man. I mean, I've never tried it, but it sounds realistic.
Were you drinking creek water?
Yeah, but like you have iodine tablets and, it's not like you're getting giardia or whatever.
No, that's for the downstream folks.
Yeah, that's
for them to get.
Yeah. It was a real class stratification metaphor.
How do I have giardia and HPV? I'm 12.
How does everyone below a certain point in the stream have HPV?
Do you think you were better equipped to endure that experience as a child? Like, if you were to do that now, you don't go 3 days, right?
I don't know. I've always been curious about the sleep reset of going into the woods. Like, they say if you like don't take artificial light sources and don't take a way to like, look at the internet, like you get back to that primordial kind of sleep where you like wake up in the middle of the night for a little while and then you go back to sleep, which was like how everyone did it until artificial light.
It's like when your parents come to visit, you're going to bed earlier, not having to explain it.
Yeah, doing a little, well, I'm bushed. Do you guys think you'll head back to the Airbnb soon, or?
Yeah, well, look at that. It's 8 already. And you know what that means? My bedtime as a 45-year-old man.
Come on, I'm a spry 42 at worst.
Really are. How old is Chakotay in this episode, do you think?
10 years older than the last time we saw him.
I know.
I like that he's maintaining the beard. He did not go full Castaway,
I wonder how close they came to really hanksing him up.
Yeah.
I bet there's like, sketches of different versions of Chakotay.
Yeah.
Like with really big bushy beard, with ice skate mouth, with a sexual partner, eel.
Right. Or a sexual partner, volleyball.
If you're marooned with Holo Janeway, do you think that there's some seduction to be done there?
Oh, you like don't want to ruin it by just having it be too easy?
That's what I'm saying.
You want to do a little Cherchez la Holo Femme?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little flirty with the Holo?
Yeah. Do you think he actually goes to the trouble of carving a bathtub out of real materials, or does he just get a hollow bathtub?
A gambling friend of mine has a saying when you're really sweating out of bed that goes like, it's no fun if they just throw their legs up. And I think that saying applies to whether or not to seduce the Holo after you've become marooned.
Sure. Well, let's get into it, Adam. Let's see if Hologram Janeway just throws the legs up. In Season 2, Episode 11, Last Flight of the Protostar, Part 1.
You know the greatest danger facing us is an irrational fear of the unknown. Huge unknown.
On my mark, go fast.
Our cold open finds Chakotay hunting and gathering. It's a red planet. It's a fish egg planet. It's called Yzidal. Sidal? Is the Y silent? What are we working with here?
Yeastal?
Yeastal?
He does say it out loud at one point.
Welcome to Isida. Enjoy your stay.
Yeastal sounds like a generic brand of yeast that a bakery would use and buy in bulk.
Many cents cheaper than the Red Star brand, and won't get you accused of any kind of affiliation with the communists.
I like moments like these depicted in TV and movies. I mean, we got one of these in one of the Star Trek films, just the rhythm and the pattern of a day.
Yeah.
And it is through the rituals that it feels like Chakotay might have found some satisfaction, or at least, like, apparently he's resisted the struggle and accepted his circumstances, right?
He's living off the fat of the land. That's like a life goal for some people.
Must have been his lifelong ambition to eat fish eggs every day.
Yeah, and carve little wooden figurines of all his dead friends.
Yeah, look at this. There's a birdman in there, and also there's a Janeway. You know she's the queen.
Yeah.
And what's that? Chakotay is the horse? Doesn't look quite anatomically correct, Chakotay.
That's what she says.
Funny, I thought Kristen Shaw was a horse.
Well, look at her dance like a look at her go like a look at her dance like a horse. Ah!
Chakotay's a centaur. Half horse, half man.
Would you do the tat with, like, would you shave it into the horse's fur? Or would you paint it on?
Great question.
That work.
Hey.
Oh, but it's a man's body. But is it a man's dong? This
is the question. Do horses get branded the way that other livestock get branded, like in the Western days?
It seems like you wouldn't want to do that with a horse for all of the, like, fanciness of horse reasons.
And also that they would kick the shit out of you.
Yeah, they
right?
Probably make you regret branding them.
Yeah. Suddenly the calm is broken, Ben, and that's because the kids have been snared in one of Chakotay's nets.
Mm-hmm.
One of the nets he uses for catching food animals, and he takes great umbrage with the idea that he's done something bad to their ship.
Yeah, he really does not like hearing them talk about their ship.
Your ship. It's my ship.
Hologram Janeway appears up on the ramp. She can't come any closer because that's probably out of range for holo emitters, but she's also confused about how they're, like, acting familiar with her.
Yeah. That's uncomfortable for any woman, holo or otherwise.
I know, but they also say, like, you know, if you don't know people at a party, you should walk up to them and just start talking to them like you know them.
I love that move.
Yeah.
I love that move, especially when I can't remember someone's name. Then it becomes a little game.
Mm-hmm.
Can I do or say something that gets them to declare that?
Right. Or can I make them not notice I never said their name?
Exactly.
What a fantasy. Anyways.
Chakotay's got the gravelly voice of a sick Star Trek podcast host.
Mm-hmm.
And Holo Janeway sounds the same as she ever has, right? Because she's a holo.
She's the same. It's been 10 years that they've been on this planet. And after getting cut down, the proteges tell him the story of Star Trek Prodigy up until now. It's a nice analog way of watching Star Trek on Star Trek, I thought.
Does it feel good or bad if you're a creator of this show and it could be summed up by these kids in 15 seconds? I mean, there have been some episodes of this show that have been very information dense.
Yeah.
And yet you see a scene like this and you're like, oh, I guess that is all that's happened.
Yeah.
They also tell him about the loom and Wesley Crusher. They tell him everything.
Yeah.
Chakotay hears all of it, and he doesn't want to help them because Gwyn is Vanukat, and he's never going to trust someone that looks like that after what he's been through.
Yeah. He's been ranting about it in the computer without checking if anyone was standing in his doorway.
Yeah. And no matter what the kids say about, like, the threat of what's on board the Protostar, like, being prepared for and neutralized, he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hear it.
You said tentacle monsters and Wesley Crusher. Like, you've lost credibility with me.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. You sound crazy. I don't want you on my ship. And as the storm approaches, he's like, yeah, you guys can make do with the trash I've left outside in this red sand. And he closes the hatch behind him.
He has a chat with Janeway about these misfits, and she's definitely team let the helpless children with no equipment inside the ship during the storm. And he's a little resistant to that.
You know, Chakotay, this is a death sentence for all of these children. Except perhaps Murph, right? Because when we cut outside as the storm is gaining strength, Chaos Murph could be a tent or a shelter, right?
Chaos Smurf is potential tent.
Is the problem here that Chaos Smurf does not want to be a tent? He would rather be a toilet, wouldn't he?
Definitely doesn't offer tent.
No.
Maybe he's already been toilet since they've been sort of away from technology for long enough that if he like inflated himself so that they could all get inside, it would already be spoiled in there.
It doesn't seem as though Chaos Smurf needs shelter the way the others do. And he seems impervious to lightning of all kinds.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking at those purple storm clouds billowing, and he's like, I'm half purple already. Like, purple ain't got shit on me.
Yeah. So, Janeway, I guess, makes her case to Chakotay, and he ends up opening the hatch for the kids. And they go inside, and immediately start fucking with his program, asking a bunch of questions.
Yeah. And you see a sinkhole open up right where their tent was as they enter, which is like, oh.
That's ominous, right?
Glad he let them in.
They start complaining about how cold it is inside, how dark it is inside. That's because the ship is running off of a bare minimum of power. There's no warp core. There's no proto-matter.
They're walking through and they're like, this place is a dump. No power?
Just wait till you see the pool.
Yeah. Chakotay's like, yeah, I mean, complain all you want. I jettisoned all that shit before hitting the ground. That way the ship can't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
The way you're hurting me and my soul by being aboard, asking all these fucking questions.
So, yeah, the protocore is gone. All the warp systems have been discharged.
Yeah.
He has intentionally scuttled this ship permanently on this planet, and that's just the deal. And it's a needs of the many for him. Like, that's just the way it's got to be. We cannot let this ship get back into Federation space, given what we know about it.
Do you think a kid can tell the difference between acceptance and resignation in a context like this? I thought about that a lot, especially in the first half of this episode. Like, I think it would be easy to believe that Chakotay, after 10 years, has just given up. But in manner and in deed, I'm like, he's fine. He chose this.
Yeah.
He's okay. Right?
I mean, is he? Because every time Jenkum says something about Birdman,
Yeah.
Chakotay gets real sensitive.
That's the button, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a Back to the Future thing. You can't call Chakotay Birdman.
Yeah.
Just like you can't call Marty Chicken.
Right. And for some reason, it's Jenkum that keeps pushing this particular button. And
Yeah.
he storms off in a huff. And Hologram Janeway explains that captains who lose their entire crews tend to be real sad about it. And that's what's going on with him. It's like, hey, listen, I know he tried to leave you outside to die in that storm, but you gotta cut the guy some slack.
There are many versions of losing your whole crew. The best by far is after having set self-destruct to your own ship. Somewhere far lower on the list is whatever Chakotay did here.
We learned that Adreek, the birdman, tried to generate some new antimatter to repower the warp core by harnessing the power of the lightning storms on this planet. And he went off on a solo mission to do this and never returned. And so that's like the last member of his crew. And that seems to have pushed Chakotay over the emotional edge into what he's going through now.
One aspect of the story that I thought was really striking was that Chakotay thought it was bullshit and he didn't want to help and he didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of how heavy this feeling is for him, is like he gave up a long time before Birdman did. And by not participating in this experiment, I think there's a feeling of responsibility there.
Yeah. With him gone, the proteges start talking about what to do and what Wesley Crusher had in mind, given the fact that he sent them here to someone who seemed unwilling to participate in the plan.
It's so believable that Wesley would have fucked this up, right? Based on what we know about Wesley from Star Trek Prodigy.
Yeah, I think so.
Very plausible.
Jenkum is like, well, I guess we could just steal this thing. Like, that seems possible. But Gwyn has a counter proposal. Let's rehabilitate Chakotay.
She's like, yes, steel, but what if not protostar, but Chakotay's heart?
We need to score a lot of platinum fast.
Licensed businessman. And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
The greatest Trek.
So we get another montage in this episode. After the montage of collecting fruit and fish roe, we get a ship repair montage with the proteges working on all of the different systems.
They're involved in the chores too. Like this is a real summer camp montage where we're building the vehicle to win the big race against the camp across the lake.
Sure.
Real positive vibes here.
Yeah, Murph overfishing the water, causing the population of the fish that they need to survive to crash.
Murph flushing himself into the water, polluting the waterway nearby the camp, making the fish inedible.
Yeah. Some like LLAPs being thrown up, gang sign style, which is a little disarming to Chakotay. He's trying to walk around with a stern, grumpy look on his face. That gets him.
Magel's cool with this usage of lap hand, right?
Mm-hmm. Her culture is your costume in this context. Go for it.
Yeah.
Dal has been sent very far away from everyone else to get some plasma fruit. And when he is up there looking for this fruit, a sinkhole opens up behind him, and we get the like Dal eyes to commercial of being horrified at what has revealed itself from this hole.
It felt for a moment like this would be living quicksand to me. And to a kid, possibly the scariest form of a scary thing.
Seeing this episode, it made me wonder if quicksand is still as common a threat in children's media today as it was during our childhoods. Because
it was everywhere as a kid. Why did the scientists keep making it?
I was convinced that at some point in my adult life, I would grapple with, okay, what you need to know is the more you move, the deeper you sink. You got to try to spread yourself out over top of it, get your hand on something like a rope or a vine. These were key pieces of knowledge that I wonder if today's kids even have.
The scientists stopped making quicksand and they stopped making Capri Sun pouches.
Did they stop making Capri Sun pouches?
Yeah.
Whoa.
They come in some bullshit now.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I hate bullshit.
Maybe for Daron, you can get some Capri Sun off of eBay.
Yeah, like vintage.
Some old pouches.
Vintage Cap Suns.
Maybe you age it next to your wine. And by the time he's old enough to drink, you've made prison hooch out of Capri Sun. What do you think of that?
Capruno?
You have made Capruno, which is also what Klingons call it on their prison barges, right?
Yeah. Suddenly it is storming really bad, and everybody's like running into the ship like, wow, that one really whipped up out of nowhere anyways. Oh, anyone know where Dal is? And nobody knows where Dal is, and he's not answering the radio. So Chakotay, Gwyn, Jankum, and Murph go get in this vehicle that Jankum has been working on fixing up and try to drive out to where they think Dal is to look for him.
Were you surprised at how gung-ho Chakotay was about going after Dal? This montage really worked to grow his heart 3 sizes or whatever.
It made me wonder how long a time period we had seen. Was this like another day or was it like a week?
Unclear.
We never got a scene where Chakotay went through any kind of personal reckoning with the fact that he was going to leave a bunch of children outside a very large starship to die in a storm. So,
yeah.
Anyways, he does seem to have really turned a corner. And boy, this car is cool as hell.
Nice job, Jankum Pog.
Yeah.
Fixing it up.
As we're driving out there, we learn that these sinkholes are being created by giant moray eels that eat the lightning in the storms. That's their food source.
Lightning halud.
I had shock halud written down, but that's
nice.
That's also good.
They're both good.
Yeah. So the car turns into a hovercraft, and they like do some tunnel hovering.
Very Back to the Future, huh?
Yeah, very Back to the Future, and also very like Mission Impossible has like a scene where they're like in a train tunnel, and you're like ducking to the side to avoid the train.
Love that.
Yeah. They have to stop it eventually and climb up a big hill into another cavern where they find Dal, who has discovered like a device that's set up on top of a little outcropping in this cavern.
Yeah.
It's like a lightning rod on it.
There's a kite with a little key.
Adreek Franklin was actually his full name.
There is so much bird shit in this cave. Yeah. Like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Gross.
Like one of those islands in South America that they mine for fertilizer.
Yeah, it's pretty bad in there. Everyone's got to cover their mouths and noses.
Yeah.
Walking through.
Dal has discovered the remains of Adreek, who like had bones going all the way out through the feathers in his head.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It seems as though he died in some pain, judging from the body. I mean, I'm no medical examiner, but like I lit a cigarette and was looking at the bird body going, blunt force trauma to the body, some scorching around the feathers. You can tell by the arterial spray out of the cloaca, heavy internal bleeding. Probably took hours to die.
You can tell from some of the tattooing around the entry wounds, he won't be able to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. Why do I think that all medical examiners have those glasses that are held together magnetically that you can take off and then hang around your neck?
I mean, it's probably issued at school, right?
Yeah, ME training courses.
For sure. And also, like, your first carton of cigarettes. Basic.
Yeah. You know who can't get secondhand smoke issues? Cadavers.
Yeah. You know who doesn't complain about the smell? Dead bodies.
So Chakotay goes to take a look at his fallen comrade, and in the arms of this birdie is a canister of antimatter. Adreek did it. His crazy idea actually worked. And now they have the thing that they will need to power up the protostar.
Amazing. The experiment was a success. He just didn't live long enough to report back to Chakotay.
Yeah.
And Chakotay, for 10 years, never looked for him. That's the dark curvature of this moment, right?
Yeah, but he was down in tunnels that Chakotay might not have really understood were down there. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I guess. I'm looking, Ben. That's all I'm saying. Like, if for nothing else than for something to do.
How long were they alive together? Like, did Adreek leave like in year one, or were they hanging out? Like, did Chakotay wait on romancing Hologram Janeway for a while?
You're going in exactly the direction I was going to go, Ben. Like, this throuple was never going to happen. And when Birdman decides to go out on this experiment, Chakotay is like, yeah, why don't you do that during the storm? I'm going to hang back in case you need anything.
Oh, do you think that it was a situation where Hologram Janeway wanted a Chakotay in the streets, but Adreek in the sheets?
Perhaps. Only Chakotay wasn't going to give her that choice.
Yeah. So, anyways, they do a little, like, Viking funeral for Adreek.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
If you don't light the boat on fire, is it a Viking cruise funeral?
You know,
I mean, this isn't branded content. That just came from me. It didn't come from a sponsor.
Sure.
Lord knows we would not have a commercial on this show.
I feel like if the body doesn't contract Legionnaire's disease, then it wouldn't count as a Viking cruise funeral.
Fair. Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to whip out a phaser, you know.
I know.
Light that boat.
What happens to the birdie?
But maybe like little kids wouldn't know what that is. I don't know. Funeral and a kids show.
Yeah. Grotesque dead body in a kid's show.
Yeah. My little boy Daron always loves coming out here and looking at the fish tank with me in the morning. And I've had a recent situation where like the water quality in the tank took a turn for the worse very suddenly. And
got a little cloudy, Ben?
All of the shrimp in the tank died. So there were like 3 dead shrimp visible right in the front of the tank. And he was asking about it.
Aren't shrimps the kind of fish that are supposed to clean the water?
Yeah,
Am I wrong about this?
Yes, but I guess invertebrates are like more sensitive to nitrates than vertebrates, and it was a nitrates problem. We're working through it. It's going to be okay, but I lost all my shrimps.
Maybe stick a couple of hot dogs in that water. That's how you get the nitrates right.
Mm-hmm. I should probably also see if I can order a brown starfish for the tank if we're going to make it hot dog flavored water.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're such a pro, man.
introducing the chocolate starfish.
Oh, is it chocolate starfish? Shit.
The two of us on mic working at like 40% energy. Still manage to make the best episode we've ever done.
It's amazing that this is the best episode we've ever done, given the state both of us are in. He wanted to know about what was going on with those shrimp, and I was like, I don't know how to explain to a 2.5-year-old what death is. And I feel like I have this episode of Star Trek Prodigy to help me out now. I can be like, you know what happened to Adreek? That's kind of what happened to the shrimps.
Did you make shrimp for dinner that night? That could have helped you out. So Daron, you see what your plate's covered in?
Mm-hmm.
That's death. Anyway, I would be a terrible parent. But is this a terrible episode, Ben? That's how things end.
She'll always bring it home.
Kind of an absence of duns at the end of a part 1, I think.
Yeah, I like this episode. I mean, I think that it's very low on duns, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says something about before this ship can fly, it has to sail. It doesn't sound like it's going to go fast.
It would have been great if they had a sail in the boat that they put the birdman in.
Yeah.
As it goes out of the lake. He's like, oh, that's right.
That was our only sail.
Yeah. That's embarrassing.
Am I right that we have 2 consecutive 2-parters? Like right back to back in this?
That has never been done on Star Trek before.
I know. It's wild stuff. And
Hey, Aaron Walke, get a little crazy with the 2-parters, aren't we? He's drunk with 2-parter power.
Yeah, he really is. He's out of control. This guy has to be stopped.
It's like every time we've gone out for a drink with him, he's always like left after 1 drink. He's like, all right, I'm going to be back tomorrow. Mm-hmm. What? I thought we were having a hang.
He's like, my tab's still open.
Yeah.
Like, what? You can do that? You just leave it open for days and days? Then he'll just close it out and charge you 20% at the end of the night?
He's hooked on 2-parters.
Yeah. He's got a problem. And there's a lot of people in this room that really love him and want him to get some help.
Hey, Aaron, will you get into an entire car and go do an entire sequence of rehab?
Yeah.
Today?
30 entire days, not 15.
Yeah.
Not like last time. We've seen you blow this before, Aaron.
I like this episode too. However, it did make me think a lot about the restraint you've got to have when depicting an adult authority figure suffering. Because the suffering we see Chakotay having endured is the loneliness, but not really because of Holo Janeway. The hunger because of the regularity of his diet. The isolation. The sadness at maybe feeling some responsibility of having a hand in the birdman's death.
Right.
But what you don't get is maybe the very scariest thing for a child, which is watching an adult person cry or lose it not hold it together. And I kind of thought this episode would go there.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense that it didn't. But, for all of the ways that this show is for everyone, not just for kids, but for adults also, that was maybe a bridge too far,
Sure.
Because 10 years is a fucking long time, Holo companion or not. I think there's going to be greater darkness than has been depicted in this episode, and maybe we'll see more darkness in the second half.
Maybe so. Yeah, I wonder about that. Like, maybe this is him building age-appropriate boundaries so that he doesn't freak them out too much. But
yeah,
it's such a tricky thing when you realize, like, he is really, like, putting their lives at risk by not letting them in the ship at that opening scene. Like, that's really fucked up, actually.
It's because since Birdman died, maybe he has no value on life and death anymore.
Yeah.
And if his companion is Holo, then doubly so.
Right. Yeah, maybe he had some pretty wild stuff planned with Hologram Janeway tonight, and he just doesn't want a bunch of kids running around ruin his fuck fest,
He's got a Da Vinci lab in there, ready to go.
It's Sato.
He doesn't want his appointed rounds interrupted.
No.
We
don't want our priority 1 messages interrupted, Adam.
Certainly do not. The clockwork in there, humming right along.
Mm-hmm.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Ben, we've got a priority 1 message here of a personal nature. It is from Drew Loomer. It is to Nick Martin.
Okay.
Here's that message. You told me about TGG back in 2018 when we worked together in hell. And in parentheses, it says software consulting. I haven't seen you since before COVID, and I'm not even sure you still watch. But I am so glad to be a friend of DeSoto, and that's all thanks to you and Ben and Adam for making something worth listening to. Thanks for the all too rare, non-shitty recommendation.
Wow.
Well, Drew, I think I've puzzled out why Nick may not talk to you anymore.
You think that Nick recommended hundreds of things to Drew over the years, and Drew tried them all, and this is the only one that didn't suck?
Yeah. I think we have a sample size here that ended a friendship.
Wow, pretty brutal.
Yeah. At least Drew stuck around.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Nick did too, and maybe once Nick gets the message, he'll flush a P1 back down the toilet.
Sure.
See if Drew gets it on the other side.
Back down the Murph.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Murph's gonna get it.
Yeah. All right, we have a priority 1 message here, also of a personal nature. It's from Your Chadich. It's to Nick and Lee. It goes like this.
Just wanted to say congratulations on your new house, new home, new town, new county, and new country. It's a lot of news in one big move. And could we finish it up with the Rolaren drop?
I am so glad you got the Kern voice message instead of me.
Oh, yeah, that would
That would have been debilitating.
Thrash Adam's throat on a day like today. Wow.
That's good stuff.
Nick and Lee making big moves.
Yeah, hopefully you got new paint before you moved in.
Mm-hmm. New house, but also a new home. So do you think house in this context refers to like House Martok? Or
Oh, yeah, it does. It sure does.
Congratulations, Nick and Lee. That's like a pretty revered one. You know?
New town and new country.
Yeah. That's no House of Moog. That fucking piece of shit.
Now this sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
How about Nick and Lee starting fresh?
Wow. Well, if you'd like to get a P1 on the show, we'd sure appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on around here. MaximumFun.org/Jumbotron.
Hey, Ben.
What's that, Adam?
This is going to be tough, but I'm going to do it. Did you find yourself Frakes.
Barnus Frakes.
Barnus Frakes.
Barnus Frakes.
Barnus Frakes. Barnus Frakes. I'm all out of medicinal broth.
Shit, I got to run some over to you. I got some real solid stuff, like a show you broth in my fridge right now. Really banging. I got to give it to Jankum. If the Barnus Frakes is the character that's having the most fun by being weird, I feel like Jankum noticed that the Adreek references were harming Chakotay early on.
Yeah.
And just never stopped making them after that.
I kind of see myself in Jankum Pog for doing that.
Yeah.
Just finding the pressure point and hitting the button.
Yeah. You and my toddler, you know? Like, oh, that bothers you? I'm going to do it over and over again.
It's the gift of desensitization. I'm just trying to make it right, trying to make it better. That's a good one, Ben.
How about you? Did you find one?
I'm going to make mine the Birdman. Look, I mean, no one's got more confidence than the guy about to go out into a lightning storm to test an experiment. He does that by himself, inexplicably. I think the first rule of shipwreck is don't do something stupid that causes you to die or that becomes a burden on someone else. I think that's what the Birdman does here. And I don't think you can do that. You got to keep working on Chakotay to make him party to this idea.
You got to.
Because the stakes are just too high.
You got to use the buddy system when you're testing your electrical theories.
I mean, tie a rope around yourself and go out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about a Birdman is he's just going to eat the breadcrumbs. You can't leave breadcrumbs.
That's not going to work, yeah. And then the wind picks up and it blows them all over the place, and then he's just eating them all over the place.
It's just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why didn't we get a flashback to that moment? Too awful for a kid.
Yeah. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Adam. We always end the show with a segment we call Warning Bois. This is where we shout out someone who shouted us out on the internet and shared what they like about the show with someone else so that potentially a new listener could find this thing and enjoy it.
Prepare a buoy and launch it when ready.
Warning, boys.
An emergency buoy. A warning buoy.
Adam, do we got a warning bois today?
Sure do, Ben. One of my favorite warning bois I've seen in quite a while because it is esoteric in the way that we can be sometimes and in praise of it. 5-star review for Greatest Trek on Apple Podcasts from Your Twain.
Oh, no.
Headline, unexpected and delightful. Here's what they say. Longtime FOD here. Shout out for the happiness reference and a pod about a children's Star Trek show. Keep up the good work. You know what was great about making that reference to happiness? It's like, that's another example of us just saying a thing and Wynde just locked on to the exact right audio to use for that reference. She's the best.
When Wynde picks up what you're putting down like that, especially when you don't necessarily expect, you know, you're like, I'll probably have to leave a note in the QA file for this.
I mean, I fully expected that part to get edited out. Like,
yeah.
That's too out there.
How about you?
Well, speaking of Wynde, whose work is tremendous and tremendously appreciated, we're going to leave it with her from here. She'll tell you a little bit about next week's episode and what's coming up with Greatest Trek. So please listen to that. Thank you for listening to this.
Wynde's work is mysterious and important.
Bye-bye.
Greatest Trek is an Uxbridge Shimoda podcast on the Maximum Fun Network. It's hosted by Ben Harrison and Adam Pranica, and it's produced and edited by Wynde Priddy. Ben and Adam will be back next week with a review of Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, Episode 12, Last Flight of the Protostar, Part 2, where Chakotay and the cadets devise a bold but perilous plan to relaunch the Protostar. Thank you to the members who are making this show possible by supporting monthly at MaximumFun.org/join. And if you are a current member, check your bonus feed for a new episode of Factory Seconds that just dropped a couple of days ago. Thank you to Nick Dittmore, who created the show art, and Adam Ragusia, who composed the theme music. Thank you to Rob Adler and Bill Tilley for their work on the @GreatestTrek social media pages. Follow those accounts and use the hashtag #GreatestTrek when you post about the show. We're also on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and you can find all of the fun merch at podshop.biz. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on Greatest Trek.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
directly
by you.